a young mother of four. 35-year-old Nikki Cheng Saelee-McCain vanished without a trace on the night of May 18th, 2024. One moment, she was sending messages to her family, and the next, she was gone. No calls, no sightings, no explanation. A red truck seen near the area has become a crucial piece of the puzzle. But even with this lead, investigators are left with more questions and answers. What happened to Nikki? Was she the victim of foul play, or did she disappear on her own? Could her past struggles and connections provide clues to her whereabouts? Her family refuses to believe she would simply walk away from her children, yet the lack of evidence has made the search for answers agonizingly slow. This case is more than just another missing person story. It's a chilling mystery with tangled relationships, potential danger, and a desperate need for justice. As authorities and loved ones continue their search, the truth remains just out of reach. To understand this case, we first need to understand Nikki herself. She was not just a name on a missing persons report. She was a mother, a daughter, a friend. Nikki's life revolved around her four children. Friends and family describe her as deeply devoted to them, always putting their needs first. She wasn't the type to leave them behind without explanation, which makes her disappearance even more troubling. Her children's lives were her priority, and she was known for being present, engaged, and full of love for them. By all accounts, Nikki was a kind, warm-hearted woman, but like many, she had faced her share of struggles. She had experienced a difficult relationship with her husband, Tyler McCain, who had been charged with domestic violence before her disappearance. While the charges were eventually dropped, those close to Nikki knew she had endured pain behind closed doors. Still, she was resilient. She had been working toward a better future, trying to build a stable life despite the challenges she faced. She wasn't someone who gave up easily, making the idea that she would voluntarily vanish even more unlikely. On the night of May 18th, 2024, Nikki was last seen leaving a hospital in Redding, California. She texted her family around midnight, and from that moment on, she was never heard from again. She was supposed to return a car to her mother-in-law's home, but she never arrived. The most crucial detail, a red truck, spotted near the area around the time of her disappearance. Could this vehicle hold the key to understanding what happened that night? Redding, a city in Northern California, is known for its natural beauty, outdoor activities, and small-town feel. However, it also has a darker side. While it's not the most dangerous city in the state, crime is a growing issue. In recent years, reports of missing persons, drug activity, and domestic violence cases have risen. For someone like Nikki, who had already been in a volatile relationship, living in a place where these challenges may have increased the risk she faced. If foul play was involved, could have been someone she knew, or was a random act of violence. Small towns can be tight-knit, and disappearances often don't go unnoticed. But at the same time, people sometimes hesitate to speak up, whether due to fear, misplaced loyalty, or simply not wanting to get involved. Potential witnesses might hold key information they haven't shared yet. This is where the importance of spreading Nikki's story comes in. The more people who hear about her case, the greater the chance that someone will step forward with information. No matter how small, that could lead to answers. As the investigation unfolds, several critical questions remain. Who was the last person to see Nikki that night? What happened after she sent that midnight text? Does the red truck hold the key to solving this case? Was Nikki in danger before she disappeared? With no confirmed sightings and limited evidence, the search for Nikki is far from over. Her family and investigators are determined to find out what happened, but they need the public's help. This is just the beginning of the story. The deeper you go, the more unsettling the details become. On the evening of May 18th, 2024, Nikki Cheng Saelee-McCain walked out of hospital in Redding, California. That moment marked the last confirmed sighting of the 35-year-old mother of four. She stepped into the night, sent a brief text to her family around midnight, and then nothing. No follow-up messages, no calls, no trace of where she went next. She was expected to return a card to her mother-in-law's home, a simple task that should have taken little time. But she never arrived. Hours passed with no sign of her, and concern quickly turned to alarm. This wasn't like Nikki. She had children who needed her, a family waiting for her return. The silence was unnatural, unsettling. Her last known movements offered little explanation. Leaving the hospital, she should have made a straightforward trip, but something or someone interrupted that journey. As the search for answers began, a single clue stood out: a red truck, seen near the area where Nikki was last spotted. Witnesses recalled the vehicle in the vicinity that night, but its connection to her disappearance remained uncertain. Did she willingly enter the truck? Was it already waiting for her? Could the driver have played a role in her vanishing? Authorities have focused on identifying the owner, believing it might hold the key to unraveling the case. The presence of this vehicle at such a critical time raises more questions than answers. Was Nikki inside? If so, did she know the driver? Or was she forced against her will? Despite efforts to track it down, no one has come forward to confirm its significance. Without more details, the red truck remains a haunting question mark in an already baffling case. As dawn broke and there was still no word from Nikki, anxiety grew. Family members called her phone, reached out to mutual friends, and retraced every possible route she might have taken. But she was nowhere to be found. With each unanswered call and message, the reality became harder to ignore. Something was terribly wrong. Nikki wasn't the type to disappear without an explanation. She had been working to rebuild her life, determined to provide for her children. Vanishing without a trace didn't fit the person they knew. The police were alerted, and the missing persons report was filed. Officers began gathering details, questioning those closest to her, and piecing together the final moments before she went silent. Flyers were distributed, social media campaigns were launched, and every possible lead was pursued. For her loved ones, the waiting was unbearable. Each passing hour without news felt like a lifetime. The more time that passed, the more urgent the need for answers became. The truth remained out of reach, but one thing was certain: Nikki hadn't simply walked away. Someone knew what had happened that night. The challenge now was finding them before the trail went cold. As the search for Nikki Cheng Saelee-McCain continued, unsettling details about her personal life began to surface. One of the most significant revelations involved her husband, Tyler McCain. Court records showed that he had pending felony domestic violence charges against him, charges that were ultimately dropped because Nikki was unable to testify. This raised immediate questions. If she had been the victim of abuse, had she been trying to leave? Was her disappearance connected to a past pattern of violence? Investigators had to consider the possibility that her vanishing was not random, but rather a result of something much more personal and dangerous. Those close to Nikki knew she had been facing struggles, and the idea that she might have been harmed by someone familiar was not easily dismissed. If she had been in a volatile situation, had it escalated, or had she been trying to escape, only to meet an even worse fate? This lead became a major focal point in the case. Authorities needed to determine whether Nikki's past experiences with domestic violence played a role in her sudden disappearance. With no concrete evidence to explain what happened to Nikki, speculation and theories began to take shape. Three main possibilities emerged, each with its own troubling implications. One of the most immediate questions in cases like this is, who was the last person to see the missing person? In Nikki's case, that remains unclear. She was last known to be at the hospital and had sent a text shortly after leaving. But after that, there is no confirmed sighting. If someone she trusted was responsible for her disappearance, who could it be? Authorities had to consider whether a person from her inner circle, Someone who knew her habits, vulnerabilities, and movements had played a role. The fact that she was supposed to return a car that night, but never made it suggest that something unexpected happened along the way. Had she arranged to meet someone? Was there an argument or confrontation that turned deadly? If foul play was involved, the lack of immediate evidence suggests that whoever was responsible might have gone to great lengths to cover their tracks. The second theory is one that sends chills down the spine, the possibility that Nikki was taken by someone she didn't know. Random abductions are rare, but they do happen. If Nikki left the hospital on foot or stopped somewhere along the way, could she have crossed paths with the wrong person at the wrong time? The mysterious red truck seen near where she was last spotted adds weight to this theory. If she got into that vehicle, was it by choice or was she forced? Had someone been watching her, waiting for an opportunity? If this was the case, then the danger she faced was immediate. A stranger with the intent to abduct would have had a plan, a destination, a means of control, and a way to avoid detection. Without any sign of Nikki after that night, investigators had to consider the terrifying possibility that she had fallen victim to an unknown predator. The third theory is more complex. Could Nikki have disappeared on her own? If she was facing difficulties, particularly involving domestic violence, was leaving everything behind her way of escaping? Some people, when trapped in dangerous situations, see no other way out than to vanish. But there are problems with this idea. First, she had children, 4 of them. Those who knew her said she was devoted to them, and walking away without a word didn't fit her character. Second, if she had planned to disappear, why leave in such an abrupt and unprepared manner? Usually, when someone goes into hiding, they take steps to cover their tracks, money, transportation, a safe place to stay. But Nikki left behind everything. Unless she had help or was under extreme pressure, the likelihood of a voluntary disappearance seemed low. Still, investigators couldn't rule it out completely. With these theories in mind, law enforcement continued to search for answers. Each possibility raised more questions. If foul play was involved, where was the evidence? If a stranger had taken her, why hadn't anyone come forward with information? If she had chosen to disappear, why had there been no sign of her since? The disappearance of Nikki Cheng Saelee-McCain remains a deeply unsettling mystery. With no concrete answers, the search for the truth continues. From the moment Nikki Cheng Saelee-McCain was reported missing, law enforcement knew they had to act fast. Time is critical in missing persons cases. Every hour that passes makes finding answers more difficult. Officers in Redding, California, immediately launch an investigation, gathering details from her family and retracing her last known steps. The first challenge was the lack of clear evidence. Nikki had disappeared in the dead of night, with no known witnesses who could confirm where she went after leaving the hospital. Investigators began by reviewing surveillance footage from nearby businesses, hoping to catch a glimpse of her movements or the red truck that had been spotted near the area. But if they found anything, they kept it quiet. Interviews with her family and friends painted a picture of a woman who had no reason to vanish on her own. She was a mother of 4, deeply connected to her children. Those closest to her insisted that if she had the choice, she would have contacted someone by now. That only heightened suspicions that something far more sinister had taken place. Police followed standard procedure, checking her phone records, bank transactions, and social media activity. Unfortunately, there were no signs of recent use. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air. With no clear crime scene, no physical evidence, and no strong leads, investigators face an uphill battle. Despite the lack of concrete information, law enforcement didn't give up. Officers continued questioning people in her circle, searching for inconsistencies in statements. They urged the public to come forward with any details, no matter how small. In cases like this, sometimes the smallest clue can break everything wide open. But as days turned into weeks, frustration mounted. Where was Nikki? And why did it seem like she had disappeared without a trace? As the official investigation struggled to gain traction, the online community took matters into its own hands. Social media has become a powerful tool in modern missing persons cases, and Nikki's disappearance was no exception. Facebook groups, Reddit threads, and TikTok videos quickly spread the word, turning her case into a topic of national discussion. People from all over shared her story, hoping that someone, somewhere knew something. True crime enthusiasts, amateur detectives, and everyday citizens began analyzing the details, dissecting timelines, and proposing theories. Some dug through publicly available records, looking for connections others might have missed. Others kept a close eye on local reports, hoping to catch any new developments. For Nikki's family, this online support was both a comfort and a double-edged sword. On one hand, it kept her case alive, ensuring that she wasn't forgotten. On the other, misinformation spread just as quickly as facts. Baseless rumors circulated, false leads distracted from the real search, and some individuals made accusations without evidence. Still, social media played a crucial role in maintaining pressure on law enforcement. Public demand for updates meant that authorities couldn't afford to let the case go cold. Every time Nikki's story was shared, there was a renewed chance that someone with valuable information would step forward. Local community members also got involved. Flyers were posted throughout Reading, vigils were held in her honor, and volunteers helped comb through possible locations where she might have been last seen. Strangers who had never met Nikki felt a deep connection to her case, rallying together in the hopes of bringing her home. In a desperate effort to uncover the truth, a $30,000 reward was offered for any information leading to Nikki's whereabouts. The hope was that money would be enough motivation for someone to speak up, especially if fear had been keeping them silent. Rewards like this have been successful in past cases, pushing hesitant witnesses to come forward. But as of now, it's unclear the offer has led to any credible tips. Investigators have received numerous calls, but whether any of them contain the breakthrough they need remains unknown. A reward of this size raises an important question. If someone out there knows what happened to Nikki, what's stopping them from speaking up? Is it fear of retaliation? A personal connection to whoever might be responsible? Or is it possible that the truth is darker than anyone wants to admit? Her family remains hopeful that someone, somewhere, has the missing piece of the puzzle. The more time that passes, the more urgent the need for answers becomes. Despite the challenges, Nikki's loved ones refuse to give up. They continue working with law enforcement, pushing for answers and making sure that her case stays in the public eye. The fight for justice isn't over, and as long as there are unanswered questions, the search will go on. The biggest question remains: where is Nikki Cheng Saelee-McCain? And who knows the truth? As of March 2025, the investigation into the disappearance of Nikki Cheng Saelee-McCain has taken a significant turn. Nearly 10 months after she was last heard from on May 18, 2024, the Shasta County Sheriff's Office has reclassified her case from a missing person to a homicide investigation. This decision stems from evidence gathered, information from interviews, and the prolonged absence of contact from Nikki with her family. Nikki, a 39-year-old mother of four, had informed her family about her intentions to divorce her husband, Tyler McCain, shortly before her disappearance. At that time, McCain faced felony domestic violence charges, which were later dismissed due to Nikki's inability to testify. The investigation has been extensive, involving multiple search warrants and the identification of several persons of interest. However, authorities have not disclosed their identities, citing the ongoing nature of the investigation. Authorities are particularly interested in locating a red truck seen in Platina, California, around the time of Nikki's disappearance. They are offering a $30,000 reward for information leading to her location or further developments in the case. Despite these efforts, no arrests have been made, and Nikki's whereabouts remain unknown. The reclassification of the case as a homicide underscores the severity and urgency with which law enforcement continues to approach this investigation. The possibility of Nikki's case becoming a cold case is a profound concern for her family, the community, and law enforcement. A case is typically considered cold when all leads have been exhausted and no new information emerges over a prolonged period. This stagnation can have several implications. The reclassification of Nikki Cheng Saelee-McCain's case as a homicide marks a pivotal point in the investigation. While challenges persist, the combined efforts of law enforcement, advancements in investigative techniques, and sustained public interest are crucial in the pursuit of justice. The hope remains that these endeavors will lead to answers, providing closure for Nikki's family and restoring a sense of security within the community. As we reach the final moments of this story, one thing remains clear. Nikki Cheng Saelee-McCain's family refuses to give up. They've spent months searching, hoping, and waiting for answers, but they can't do it alone. Her loved ones have made a heartfelt plea. If you know something, say something. Any piece of information, no matter how small, could be the key to unlocking this mystery. Nikki's 4 children deserve to know the truth. Now it's up to all of us. If you have any information, contact the authorities. Share Nikki's story. Keep her name in the public eye. Cases like this go cold when people stop talking about them. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. Drop a comment below. What do you think happened? Let's discuss, share ideas, and keep this conversation going. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe for updates on this case and others like it. Together, we can help bring Nikki home.